The Indianapolis Colts are bringing back a dynamic playmaker that could have a long-term future in this Colts offense in lieu of Jonathan Taylor's high ankle sprain that he suffered on Sunday versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. We're going to cover all that and more on this video. What's going on? It's Elijah from Sports Talk Indy, where we cover all things Colts every single day. And today we're talking about a guy who we've already made a video about. We already talked about the potential of what this guy could be able to do in a Shane Steichen-led offense. What we were looking at and the prospect of this guy, and then he got injured. He suffered an injury in training camp, and then he was waived in lieu of signing Demetric Felton, who the Colts later ended up also waiving. But this guy, I think, could be a potential plug-and-play, immediate game changer for this Indianapolis Colts team, and this name is Trent Pennix. Now, if you remember this video from before, we talked about Trent Pennix and kind of what he was able to do. Now, the Colts signed him as a running back, but that wasn't exactly the only position he played in college. He played for NC State, and he played as tight end, as wide receiver, and as fullback, as well as running back. This guy is an absolute beast. Now, in college, he listed as a 6'2", 200-pound player, and then he graduated first year, was in the Atlantic Conference, all that stuff. So nothing crazy there as far as that goes. 6'3", 200 pounds, not massive. But by the time that he graduated college and went to get ready for the draft, he was then signed as an undrafted free agent by the Indianapolis Colts. But when he was getting ready, he then was able to bulk up by the time he graduated to 6'3", 235 pounds. This guy is an absolute monster. But not only that, but he has experience not only in the running game, but in the blocking game and in the pass-catching game. Now, this has been a weakness for the Indianapolis Colts so far this season, is the running back's ability to be pass catchers. But not only that, but they faced quite a bit of pressure as far as offensively speaking, and being able to block, being able to throw blocks, being able to do all of that, and be kind of that like secondary line of defense for the offensive line. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Jonathan Taylor does a fine job in most of those areas. Trey Sermon does an okay job. Tyler Goodson does an okay job. But this guy, Trent Pennix, has something that they don't, and that's experience in being a pass catcher on the field. But not only that, but he is an absolute freight train. Trent Pennix, this is what we have on his RAS score, because that's very, very important when talking about the Indianapolis Colts. His height, obviously, is a 6.92. His weight, 234 pounds. Neither of those are massive. But this is where it gets really, really interesting for this guy and what he's going to be able to do. And that's the 40-yard dash. He ran a 4.6. To be able to be that size and to throw a 4.6 down is incredible. And that's where he gets that 9.39 number. But not only that, his 20-yard split was a 2.68, which is an 8.8. And then a 10-yard split, which is a 9.96. Which is incredible. He's got good footwork. You see that in the composite agility grade, where he gets an 8.3 and a 9.61. And then his vertical, obviously elite numbers as well. He has a vertical of 36.5, which is a 9.38, and a broad jump of 10.02, which is a 9.55. All of these lead up to an RAS score of 9.5, which is incredible. A 9.5 is a really, really good number, but we know this. We know that the Colts bring in players based on RAS scores. And Trent Pennix had quite a bit of good games in college. He had good games, of which he had over 100 receiving yards against Marshall. He had good receptions, and he had just quite a bit of what he was able to do. He had 190 receiving yards. He had 3 receiving touchdowns. He has 1 rushing touchdown. 67 rushing yards, 15 kick returns, 24 points, 4 touchdowns, and 272 AP yards. Now, none of those may not jump off the screen for you, but I want to lead you to this of what could this guy do in a Shane Steichen offense, because I think that's very, very important. It's important to talk about what could he do with a guy like Shane Steichen, but not only that, but what could he do for this tight end room? What could he do for this running back room? Because this is a guy who can play not only tight end, not only running back, but he's listed also as a fullback. This could be a guy who could absolutely change the power run scheme for the Colts. He could change the tight end room for the Colts, because the tight end room is a room that desperately needs something. We just did a video about Kyle Pitts. It'll be released tomorrow. But tonight we're talking about Trent Pennix. And this undrafted free agent, who, again, I liked coming out in training camp. I liked him now. I think he could be very, very good. And again, what are you going to do? Are you going to drop? Are you going to keep all these tight ends who are underperforming? Are you going to keep guys who you know could be doing better? Or are you going to bring in a guy who, at least on the practice squad, could start showing glimpses of what he could be in this Colts offense? Because I think this Colts offense is like one or two pieces away. And obviously Anthony Richardson being healthy and being able to make the reads and accuracy. He looked a lot better on Sunday against the Steelers before he got injured. But I will say that you look at what this could be, and you're talking about one or two minor tweaks before this team could be really, really lethal. And they looked really good against the Pittsburgh Steelers. They had really good moments against a number one rated defense, which is incredible. So you're talking about all that, but then you add a guy who could potentially be a real big game changer for the Colts, and that's this Trent Pennix guy. Now, a couple of other roster moves that the Colts made. The Colts also released Spencer Schrader from the practice squad, which if you've been following this channel for any amount of time, you'll know that I think that's a huge mistake. I have been really struggling with Matt Gay as the kicker. His consistency has been far from consistent, for lack of a better term. And I think Spencer Schrader could have been a really cheap option to at least get you through. The Colts, for whatever reason, they know more than me. They like what they have in Matt Gay, and for the time being, that's what they're going to go with. And we'll see. But this is what they have to say on Trent Pennix. This is from the Horseshoe Huddle. And that Pennix was a member of the Colts during this year's preseason before the team released him, but he brings a unique blend of running back and tight end skills to Indianapolis practice squad. During his 6 seasons at North Carolina State, from 2018 to 2023, he ran the ball 41 times for 240 yards. That is a 5.9 average. He had a rushing score. Pennix also got 55 passes for 712 receiving yards. That's a 13.2 average and 11 more touchdowns. Now, that could be really, really good. I mean, you're talking 5.9 yards average and 13.2 yards average catch. This is a guy who could line up at tight end. He could line up in running back and provide you with a good, consistent hands in both of those positions. And did I mention that he's an absolute freight train? This is a guy who I really, really think could be good. But it goes on to say this. Indianapolis might need more spark at the tight end position, which is lacking in the playmaking department through the first 4 weeks. Outside of Mo Cox's blocking and Drew Ogletree's single score, this group has been forgettable in 2024. As for the running back side of things, Jonathan Taylor is currently getting an ankle injury evaluated. This gives the Colts reason to be cautious in case depth is needed, with Trey Sermon and Tyler Goodson likely seeing starter snaps if Taylor can't go. Pennix is a long shot to make a meaningful impact for Indy outside of preparation. However, he's a big athletic player who's been in multiple positions offensively. This type of serviceability might catch the eye of coaches, and the former Wolfpack alum can showcase it during practices. We'll see what develops as Indy nears a trip to face the Jacksonville Jaguars for Week 5. So all that to say, exactly what we've been talking about this. This could be a guy who could provide either a spark underneath the butts of this tight end room that desperately needs something going, or he could provide that meaningful spot that, again, he could be the diamond in the rough. He could be an absolute gem, or he could just be a guy that hangs on the practice squad. But I like to think that a guy with this ability in the mind of Shane Steichen, and if Anthony Richardson is able to fully sit and have a guy that he can depend on, that he could build chemistry with to be a dump-off option when needed, I think this could be really, really good for not only the Indianapolis Colts, but the development of Anthony Richardson.